Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Snow Horse Marketing Podcast. Today we have Roy with us. He is the lead post CMO. He's been in marketing for over a decade, and like myself, he is a generalist in marketing. Thank you, Roy, so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, certainly. So I know right before the podcast, let's catch up the listeners real quick. We were talking a lot about websites and guests coming in and all the visitors that are coming in and the bounce rates that are just kind of going up as like UX styles change and just algorithms change and PPC, all that's going on right now. But you wanted to dive a little bit deeper into what can we do about that when we have people come into the website and then leaving real quickly. Yeah, would you just address that real quickly?
Sure. Yeah. So the best way that I found to do that is through website visitor identification software. And like you, I've definitely seen more and more people are just, they're bouncing. And that's pretty frustrating when you're putting money into ad campaigns or you're putting money into SEO. I know we just did a big technical SEO audit and took all this time to make everything perfect, but I don't know anybody who has a 0% bounce rate. So no matter who you are, if there's a way that you can uh, capture that data and be able to retarget those users, not just through social and display, but actually through email and direct mail and other channels, that's a great way to increase your return on ad spend.
Oh, certainly. I've seen a huge shift happening. I mean, even with like Marketo, with these new AI tools, with AdRoll, where they're all adding in this email factor into the retargeting, and it's being mainstreamed a lot more into CRMs. It's really becoming an important way to contact people, especially as things are changing, especially as AI is coming into the mix as well. So just from your experience, so say someone comes to the website and they want to pull that data, what do you feel is like the best way, or what are some ways that you know to pull that data to make sure that they're not losing that?
Yeah, so the easiest way is just to use a tool like Lead Post and to put that code on your website, and then that's going to pull the data for you. Generally, the match rate's up to 40%. And then you have that data, and instead of being able to, in the past, we kind of were restricted to just, okay, we've got somebody's, they've come to our website, we've used, right. And instead of having that limitation where in the past you were able to, show people ads on social media or through display, you didn't really own that data. You could use Google Ads, you could use the Google Display Network, AdRoll, whatever the case may be. But if you weren't paying for the ads, you weren't getting any sort of exposure to those people. Now, with visitor identification, you're able to have that data and send those people emails, even if they never converted on your website, send them postcards, do whatever you need to do without having to be tethered to any specific platform and without having to put a bunch of different pixels on your site, which can be a pain at the minimum and sometimes slow your website down and cause some issues depending on how you've got it set up.
Well, and I love how you can go to that print factor. I feel like as I work more and more in marketing, I'm so grateful I have a traditional marketing background, because I have noticed that return to print. Print's never been dead. It's just shifted, like the different industries that it works well with. But I feel like, especially with AI happening and a lot of changes happening, a lot of people are wanting that, not just social proofing of like reputation management and having multiple, social platforms, but they're also wanting something in the mail. Like they are, like it really does validate that you are a quality company, that you are a real company. So I do love that you guys integrate that into what you're doing. I know with our clients that we've worked with, I love what you said there about you want to own your audience. That's the number one thing we talk about. Last year, for example, on Instagram, the algorithm changed, completely changed last spring. And we had tons of companies we were speaking with that they lost upwards of 50, 60% of their revenue because Instagram's algorithm changed, right? And so they were coming to us to help remedy that. And what we always try to do is be like, you want to own your data. Yes, use these different platforms as a different way to do it, but you want to make sure that you own that data. And so, yeah, so I'm really excited to have that in common. Like, it's not very often that people understand that. So, as you go through with your lead post and gathering that data, um, what are like just some success stories, or what have you found to be successful as you've been able to work together with collecting the data, sending out the mailers, doing some retargeting? Would you mind sharing as an experience with us?
Sure. So sticking with the that traditional component, the direct mail, that is an area where a lot of the clients that we work with, people like Nutrisystem and Weight Watchers, Ryan Holmes, they do a lot of direct mail. It's really big for their industries, and that's where we've seen a lot of success. There was an automotive dealership that we worked with that was able to get they spent $34 per car sold by using website visitor identification and then sending them direct mail. And one of the great things about it is that instead of having that limited data that you maybe are gathering through a form where you're kind of worried about how much can I really ask, when you remove that friction and get that data through website visitor identification, you're able to really gather a lot more data and then personalize your campaigns. So that car dealer, for example, was able to could say, look, this is the car that they were looking at when they first got on the website. This is the car they looked at when they left, and then have that first and last vehicle on a mailer with a special offer. And those are the kinds of things that really work extremely well when you're demonstrating the credibility through the fact that it's like, oh, there's something in my hands. This is a real place, or at least it feels that way.
Yeah.
And then you also have that personalization factor. It's like, okay, yeah, I am interested in that. A lot of times people don't even realize exactly how it is that they're seeing these specific cars. They don't even think about it. It's just, oh yeah, this is a car that I'm interested in, and oh, look, there's a deal, there's an offer, and it creates that sense of urgency.
Yeah, no, I love that. We actually have, we work in the lot of sustainability markets. So people who do housing, mini homes, people who do like short-term rentals, and a lot of them, the mailer is just a big factor of that, of like, especially for those larger purchases, especially when you're, yeah, I've seen that a lot, that those are the industries that really it thrives with, to make sure that that's moving forward. Yeah, I really enjoy about lead posts that you're able to collect that and then compare the data. I'll just leave you with a little bit of a last question. It's something we always try to go over, is on the legal side, because obviously everyone who hears these things are like, oh, how can you do that? How can you track people's data, right? That's always a question that comes up. So as if someone did sign up for lead posts, like what legal steps do you walk them through? Is there disclosures? Is there policies that they need to walk through so that they make sure that they are compliant with the ever-changing litany of laws around this data collection?
So you do want to update your privacy policy, and we have some information on how they can do that. In general, you're you are compliant because, first of all, the really biggest issue people are going to have is with countries in the EU. So when you're dealing with GDPR, but with visitor identification, at least the way that LeadPost does it, all the data that we have is just on US citizens. So the GDPR doesn't apply. Then even with state regulations, the ones that have come out so far, of course, I'm not an attorney and everybody will have to make their own judgments about this, but the laws are generally opt out. So you can send those emails, you can use that data, as long as if somebody wants to get out, they can say, hey, stop sending me email. And but yeah, the nice thing about direct mail is you can send anybody direct mail, and there really aren't a lot of rules around that. And even with email, a lot of people think, oh, you can't, that's spam if you send somebody an unsolicited business email. But that's not the case. And you can even see where the government has come out and said that you are able to say, you have to follow those laws that are set out in canned spam.
Yeah, and I'll just say this about cold emails. Like we currently at Snowhorse Marketing, we have a no spamming policy, like internally and for the clients we work with. So we always want to make sure we're using high quality copy and like making sure it's images, like you said, with the mailer, like it's the first and last image they actually something that applies to the people that we're messaging. And we just did a huge new cold email campaign, and we got over a 30 to 37% open rate. We did like an A through D test. And like you can do it in quality ways. And I will just throw out there, like if someone is trying this method and you are doing the retargeting with email, and you're getting like less than a 5% open rate, you might want to just switch up your copy if you're getting that less than 5% open rate. And so that's, obviously you want to make sure you're doing that quality. But I love that. I love that this gives a lot of people different options. And it's fun to be able to do a deep dive with someone else in the marketing world. I really enjoyed that as well. Any last thing that you'd like to leave with our audience, or is there a way if our audience wanted to learn more that they could get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Roy Harmon, and they can visit us at leadpost.com. We've got a newsletter, we've got a podcast, and a lot of blog posts where we go into website visitor identification, retargeting, and a lot of other marketing topics.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you, Roy, so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.